I firmly believe that the betterment of the world, be it inequality, climate crisis, diseases, will come from disruptive companies, from inventors, from entrepreneurs, and for us to channel the capital to these ventures is very fascinating.
Welcome to AssetRush to Talk. We are here with Carmine from Stapleton, one of the innovators and pioneers in the financial industry of Switzerland. And Carmine, please introduce yourself.
Well, thank you very much, Philippe, for having me. My name is Carmine Meoli. I am a co-founder of Stapleton Financial. I look after the key accounts in our company. And we are Stapleton that are building a marketplace for alternative investments and make private markets accessible.
Wonderful, Carmine. Now tell me, how do you change the face of finance? How do you change the future of finance?
Well, we are changing the future of finance by making private investments accessible to a wider investor community. So far, this is, the domain of institutional investors, and we want to change that. We want to democratize it, and that is our mission.
So, what's the key driver for you?
Well, what drives me personally, and where I take also my energy every day going to work, is the fact that I firmly believe that the betterment of the world, be it inequality, climate crisis, diseases, will come from disruptive companies, from inventors, from entrepreneurs, and for us to channel the capital to these ventures is very fascinating. And so we solve two things at the same time. We democratize these investments for a broader audience of investors, and we bring capital to startups and to disruptors and to solutions of the future that we believe in. And that is a wonderful thing for me to get up every morning and go to work.
I would absolutely agree with that. Your business model is all about impact and access to new assets, to these assets, to the drivers in these markets. So tell us more about that. What drives you?
So the interesting part is, I've been in finance for, let's say, 25 years plus in my life. So finance is interesting, but it's usually quite dry, let's put it this way. What we do at Stapleton is the non-boring business of finance, and that is something I enjoy a lot after 25 years in the drier part of finance.
All right, so the traditional finance, you think there's a lot to change. So tell us a bit, what were the first action points that you took at Stapleton? How was your personal involvement there?
Yeah, so we really started out with the idea to making private markets more accessible. So you start as a nobody, so obviously that's quite hard. So we had our struggles, we had our doubts, but we had our vision and belief as well. And maybe the first transaction when we really found access to Revolut, that was at the time, that really opened up the horizon for us, the universe. We said, wow, we can actually bring an investment like Revolut to our investors, and that was a game changer.
So you started maybe there, actually with lots of other projects too, but tell us a bit more about these projects.
Yeah, so we really have the idea of giving access to the private markets. That's not just venture capital, that is also liquid alternatives, venture capital, private debt, private equity, even digital assets. However, we have so many projects now on the table in venture capital and late stage venture capital, growth stage venture capital, which we are specializing more and more. We're now 35 people and specializing very much in that space. So that are the projects at the moment.
So who are the investors you have most impact with?
Well, we have built Stapleton Financial for financial intermediaries. So that is, independent asset managers, private banks. But however, we also have lots of qualified investors, which are individuals, that are also coming to our platform. Why? Because they could never invest in such things as Revolut, SpaceX, and so forth, and now they can. So that is a side effect of a nice side effect of building it for actually FIMs.
So where do you see that you really create difference to what you see offered in the market? Where do you think that Stapleton really creates that difference that makes Stapleton unique?
Well, that's a very good question, and I see the biggest difference in what we do is two things. One, we bring the minimum investment sizes down. Two, we give access to all these deals that usually the majority of investors, 90%, so it's do not have access to. And then thirdly, we securitize it. And we obviously do this with the likes of Gen 2, which helps. So now you have a bankable product with minimum sizes, investment sizes coming down for the first time. There is no such thing in Europe, in Switzerland, maybe in America, but not here.
So you really open up that universe of investments that impact investments and those ventures. So where do you see the biggest interest right now?
Well, the biggest impact we see that our investors are interested in to invest in the big disruptors of today. That can be in fintech, that can be in space tech, obviously, if you think of SpaceX and these investments, in climate tech. So these are all in metaverse, these are all emerging new fields, and you have to go into the private markets to access them. You don't find them in the public markets.
Wonderful. So where do you think you oppose with most of the different parties in your peers?
Well, I think we oppose in the sense, or we're different in the sense that we have, we give the journey, let's say the investor journey that we offer our clients is entirely different. Usually you get some package deals if you're a small investor here. You go directly, you go with us onto the cap table of a company. We co-invest with our investors. That is a first, and it's bankable. It's a bankable product, so they have it in their bank account. There's no paperwork. We have taken this away from them. That's what we do behind the scenes. They get a finished investment product, and that's unique in Switzerland, in Europe.
Yeah, perfect direct access to basically these new investments and to the growing companies in these fields. So, in terms of the ecosystem, what drives you there? What are you doing in terms of growing that ecosystem?
So yeah, we play our part in an ecosystem which we believe brings a democratization of lots of new investments to investors in the future. So we see ourselves as, there's two ways. One way, we make it accessible, we make these investments accessible for a wider investor community. On the other hand, we are also a driver for innovation because we bring the capital to the innovators. So therefore, we actually do, in our sense, a win-win situation, and we create a ecosystem with partners like Gen 2 that help us to then make it bankable. So these things put together will bring forward the new technologies, the new disruptors of tomorrow.
So, I mean, this is perfectly purpose-driven and oriented. And I guess that's also where we get along quite well, because we unite that ecosystem and building these bridges into these investments together most of the time. And how do you see that creating growth? I mean, you gathered lots of investments for that. Can you talk a bit about the sizes and the impact there?
Yeah, I mean, we started out 3 years ago. I think we have crossed to $250 million investments by now, and growing very, very rapidly. So clearly, we have hit some pain points that we are solving for our clients. So that brings growth to companies like us, obviously, but that brings also growth in the portfolio of our clients that, for the first time, can actually invest in what the institutional top investors have been doing for the past 20 years and outperforming the market. So,
what has been the greatest success for you so far in that regards?
I think the greatest success for us has been, just the overwhelming response that we have from our investor community. That is something that we knew we're solving a problem. We were positive that we will grow, but we did not expect it to be to be so overwhelmed with requests, and that we grow so fast is because we apparently do something that the clients and investor community need.
And how is that for the other side of the market? How is that for the project side? I mean, you also help them, of course, greatly in distributing and seeding their endeavors. Yeah. So how is that received on that side?
Well, first of all, I must say it's the first time that I am directly talking to innovators and startups and unicorns and so forth. So even there from our side, that's super interesting. On the other hand, we really do help them to grow their businesses so that they can fulfill their visions, their missions that they have, and if we align with them, then that's a great thing, because we know they do something good. We want to be part of it, and we help our clients to be part of it together.
Can you tell us a bit more how you select these sort of interesting investments?
Yeah, that's a very good question. there's so many projects out there. We focus a bit on the later stage. That means not the early investments, startups, but when we see that there is a product, that there is a unit economy, that there's a growth rate. And so we filter through lots and lots of possible investments. And we have our own internal program that actually gives us exactly the key points, the numbers that we're looking for. And then we want to know the people, that we want to know, does it fit with the philosophy that we have? And if all these things come together, we have an investment. So
what are the 3 takeaways for you that you would describe and that our listeners and viewers and also the people on stage at AssetRush should take away from it?
Well, I got 3 words for them. You can venture capital.
Wonderful, yeah, because I guess with you they can.
With us they can.
And I definitely see that you have a lot of impact, and we're really looking forward to have you on stage at AssetRush. So
thank you.
Look forward to that.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.